the most important thing is your time. What is it really going to cost you?
Yeah.
And that's the time when I started to mature as an athlete. At the end of the day, if you don't pick up your shit, everyone's
Michelle Taupau, NRL superstar with over 250 games played. A milestone reserved only for true legends of the game. Co-founder of DSRUPTRS with wife Michelle, fighting racism head on.
It's a huge part of the drive behind DSRUPTRS. We are now on a mission to share culture, share wisdom, share knowledge, share experiences.
I hate really talking about racism because it just pisses me off, to be honest.
It is hard. I encountered some demons that I've never thought were even possible. I've copped a lot of criticism, but when it came to that comment, it was like losing the grand final and literally having one hand on the trophy. For that to slip away, it was hard.
If you're into property and development, join the Little Fish Network for free and unlock your $20,000 townhouse masterclass today. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description. It takes 2 seconds and it's free. Welcome back to Australia's #1 podcast. We are Little Fish. We speak to the big fish about town each and every week. Please, guys, remember $1 in 2024 is being donated to our amazing charity EB, Epidermolysis bullosa. We're heading towards a cure 2030. We appreciate everyone's efforts to this point. If you want to make a bigger splash, littlefishpodcast.com.au, big pink button, Benny.
Yeah,
Love
that's
guys.
it. Yeah, it's mind-blowing how many people are getting behind the cause, so we really appreciate it.
We love it. And speaking of big fish,
Hey, the king and queen of Brisbane. Let's go!
Marty and Michelle, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It's awesome. We've been at the Property Expo, as people know, and running into people where AFL from where we come from, but appreciating sort of, how big you guys are up here has been it's been refreshing. How are you guys going?
No, we're going pretty good. We're really enjoying our time up here in Queensland. I don't think I'm really enjoying the weather.
Is it a bit hot for you, Marty?
Real hot. In terms of pre-season training,
Yeah, of course.
mate, it's a scorcher.
Do you guys travel? Do you get down to Vic where it's a bit cooler?
No, not really.
Once a season.
Once in a blue moon. We normally go down to up. Was it up or down? I've lost.
Across.
Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, okay.
Somewhere near the water.
Yep.
But other than that, we're glued and stuck at Red Hill in the trenches, 35-degree heat, just running kilometres.
In the shadows.
Doing the miles. Marty, we'll start with you. An amazing rugby league footy career. What do you, where did it all start? You're a New Zealander. You did say to us you're a fully fledged Aussie now because you've been here forever. Talk to us about that. Was it always rugby?
Yeah, not really. Well, I was born in New Zealand. I come from a Samoan background. Both parents are Samoan. Lived in New Zealand, born in New Zealand, lived there for 10 years, migrated over here with my parents and my 3 other siblings. And rugby league sort of came about just my parents, just putting me in rugby league or rugby union, where I initially started. I persisted as a kid, making friends, playing footy, filling hours and even days throughout the week. And I just thought, that I could probably make a career out of it. To be honest, when I was, at the age of 10, 12, 13, I didn't think of playing first grade. But as things went on, made some great friends, I made some pretty cool representative teams. And then one thing led to another. Signed my very first first grade contract with the Canterbury Bulldogs.
Yep. And
then things just progressed slowly, painfully, but thoroughly.
Yeah, for sure. So were you always, because when did you start playing it? When you come to Australia?
Yeah, so I played rugby league at the age of 10 when I came to Australia in the year 2000, so when the Sydney Olympics was on.
Yep.
And that's the only reason I remember was the Sydney Olympics back in the days when you have to get up and change a channel.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it all started back in 2000, and it was just all rugby league from then on.
Were you elite though? Were you identified when you started as an elite talent that just you were born with some talent, or would you say you were more of a hard worker and grinder and you had to bang down doors? Do you know what I mean? Like, were you noticed as a youngster, or were you needed to get noticed?
Because it's a little bit of a late start. Like we've got a couple
10,
of young
yeah.
fellas in the crowd that are both younger than you, and
I've seen them. I've seen some footage, mate.
Yeah,
they can play. Yeah,
and they're great. But so you're getting on the train later.
Yeah. So I guess the only thing I was elite at was making a mess in my room and getting in trouble from my parents. It was just all fun and games for me. It was just all, just having fun, kicking the ball around with your mates. But it was throughout the period of realizing when you're standing in front of superstars that are 10, 15 years your senior, and they're saying that you can make a career out of this if you persist and, focus in on your skills. I sort of realized then slowly that, I could really make something out of this. But it was all hard work.
So it took someone telling you that they believed in you that made you think. How crazy! We've had Jeff Horn, who you would know on the podcast, and that's what he said. His coach just had this delusional belief that Jeff would become an Olympian and a world champion when he technically, you look at him, he had no right to, but it just made Jeff believe as well, and he thinks that. So was that was it? That was the moment.
I didn't have skill. Yeah. All I had was hard work, and I wasn't fortunate enough to have all these, these just great skills of whether you're fast or strong. I didn't have all that, but it was, someone, sharing those experiences of, if you do work hard, put your head down and your ass up, you could make something out of this, and it was pretty cool when I progressed through to the age of 20. And things started to happen. I became the captain of the under-20s junior Kiwis squad. I had my very first child at the age of 20. I was captain of the under-20s Bulldogs team. I thought, hey, this is easy. Yeah, I've got it. I thought, I'm the man. I'm
Sounds
up here.
like you were the man.
I'm up here on the pedestal.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but I hadn't made my professional debut. So when that had come around, I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to make my rugby league debut. Well, I remember when I came on and I played with some great legends, Andrew Ryan, Bob Catt, Luke Patton, Brett Cormorley. I ran on and I only played 15 minutes, professional, my debut game. I ran on and I vaguely remember making 2 or 3 tackles immediately, and then I had to run back. And mind you, I'm a middle forward. I'm this young 20-year-old kid. And I got absolutely blasted by the legends on the squad. And Marty, fucking get a run, get the ball and fucking run the ball. So, okay, cool. So I thought I was this big human. Yep. So the minute I caught the ball, barnstormed to whoever was in front of me. Yeah. And these guys, they're scary.
Yeah, I know.
Just don't run at them. I literally ran straight into them, into their shoulders. The both of them picked me up, dumped me into the ground, and they buried me then and there. Yeah. I stayed down there for a good couple of seconds. And then it was
hard.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, that was a welcome to first grade. And I was like, shit, this is going to be... I thought I was good. No.
So that was the moment when you went, oh, right.
That's a great piece of humble pie in the ground for me.
And you ate it face first down there.
Yeah.
How good's that? But you're talking about it like you remember it like yesterday, but was that a pivotal moment where you're like, okay, cool, there's plenty of work to do?
Yeah, it was. It was. From that very moment in the 3 years that I had spent at the Canterbury Bulldogs, it was hard. It was treacherous. I encountered some demons that I've never thought were even possible, and back in those days, mental health I wasn't aware of everything, and especially in the Samoan culture, mental health isn't spoken as, it's a taboo. So it's not something that's spoken out loud.
Yeah, right.
And it's not mentioned as some sort of mental health or it needs medical attention. It's spiritual. Possessed. Yeah, it's possessed by a demon or something.
Yeah, right.
So I didn't have anyone within my parents. I couldn't explain it to my parents because obviously they wouldn't understand it. And for me, I was so, what's the best way to put it? So insular.
Yeah.
It was all about me. I thought I could get myself out of this difficult crossroads that was at, and it was hard. But at the end of the day, I persisted, and I knew that I needed to do something not only for me, but for my daughter at the time, for my parents, the sacrifice, and also for the people that were involved in getting me from A to B, from getting me out of trouble and putting me on that football field. That's all sort of stuff that sort of helped me, motivate me to persistent, just keep going, keep grinding, keep hustling.
So you sort of looked at it, doing it for others, doing it for someone and people other than yourself.
Always being of service.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So you sort of concentrated on serving those and less about yourself and serving the others, which helped you get through, stay the path.
Yep.
Do you remember what the pressures were, or the things that were sort of triggering, that were putting you through that dark time? Because I guess you're starting a professional career, which comes with pressure. You're a young dad, comes with pressure. And then I suppose you've got family and expectations and all that. Do you remember what it was that sort of put you in that bad place?
Well, I guess in this day and age, I think a lot of people have experienced it now in terms of inflation, is the financial problems, the financial issues.
Right.
Having to manage
the pressure.
Your weekly wage, your monthly wage, or whatever wage that you receive in that time. It's hard managing, and I found it hard for myself in those times, whether it was a big salary or not. It was hard to try and manage with what to pay, how to pay, and who to pay, and also there's a lot of people, sort of.
Once you get you're getting a lot of people starting to go, Marty, Marty, Marty boy. Yeah, right.
They
and you're
come
a
out
young
of the
guy.
bushes, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, me and Pete wouldn't know that. It made it sound like fucking they came out the bushes for me.
We could imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine they'd come out the bushes. But it
was hard. And also, especially being a Samoan as well, you've got your community there as well that you have to support.
Yeah, right. The pressure of that as well.
And I found it really, really hard. And the both of us, we're both the eldest kids in our family. So we've got that obligation of having to look after our family and also with our community as well. And that's the one thing that I found really hard, especially, was the word no. I was like, sure.
Young kid wanting to please everyone,
pay your groceries, or I'll help pay your bills. But then when we look at our financial statements, it's like, shit, where did our money go? It's like, okay, we've got to pay this. And the boss here, my wife, she's the one that helped me with...
Got you flying straight.
Identifying the word no. So every time she asked me, she's like, honey, do you want to go down for dinner? I was like, no.
You taught me that. You started that. Michelle, here we are. You're in the convo now. So when did you guys meet?
We met like a really long time ago, but we didn't really get to know each other, just kind of met because I was working in the NRL for, it was probably 12 years all up that I was working there. I do remember seeing his thighs before I saw his face.
What are you going to say? The biceps? They've got me a bit old.
The thighs were more developed at that stage. And then it wasn't for quite a few years after that we actually started to get to know each other, and that was in a professional capacity first. And then, it's sort of a few years went on and we became really good friends, started training together, and then here we are.
Those who trained together.
Yeah, so 2019 we got married. And
awesome. Well done. So you guys are together, and like you were saying, Marty, to have Michellle in your life, and I guess sounds like she was able to bring skills and understanding and expertise to the relationship that really worked well as far as keeping you a bit sort of centered, I suppose, managing money, learning to say no. They all sound like, and
you're not by yourself anymore.
Good assets.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I was actually, before we were together, I was pretty loose in terms of everything, whether it's, I struggle to sit still, chain of thoughts. It's like a million things going on, and then having to act out on what needs to be done. It never got done, and I'm the master of procrastination in our family. Yeah. It's the death of everything.
Things go to die with Marty.
Yeah. It's like, honey, can you do the washing? It's like, yeah, I'll do it. It's like 3 days later, oh shit. Sorry, love. But yeah, when we came together, and luckily she said yes when I asked her hand in marriage. She really stabilized everything. My emotional intelligence alone.
Period.
Physical, mental, spiritual. She's the one that sort of brought everything internally. And it helped build my character, and become the person that I am at the moment. And with what we have is, I love it, and I had never experienced it, obviously, is being married, we all spoke about, being soulmates and all this, but having a stable and concrete relationship, that foundation there was amazing, not only for us, but for our kids. And we see it. Like our kids, we've got 4 kids. We've got 4 kids, we've got 2 dogs, and 1 cat. It's a very busy household.
4 kids, 2 dogs, 1 cat.
Yeah, and the 2 dogs are more spoiled than the 4 kids. But it's amazing, like what we've experienced in seeing the actions that we have shown, and whether it's on purpose or not, we see it through our kids.
Yeah, because you're not telling them what to do, you're showing them. I love that shit, man. Well, it's true, right? Because a lot of people run around, don't do this, do that. But you guys, it sounds like pure, and you're just doing you, and they feel that. They see that. You're showing them what to do.
Like I remember before COVID, we had dinner, and Michellle was cooking up chicken soup. I think it was chicken vegetable soup. And our youngest boy, Isaiah, he was about 5 or 6 at the time. I was like, okay, everyone eat their dinner. And he just wouldn't. He wouldn't even touch a spoon, or just like, swerve in the bowl. He wouldn't. So we sat, and I said to him, "You better freaking eat your food. Don't let this go to waste." We sat there for a good hour and a half, and I think I've got the video there, just videoing him, and he wouldn't. He cried. It just like, I'm not eating this shit.
He didn't say that.
That's what he was thinking, though.
Well, he did say, I'm not eating it. But like fast forward 3-4 years later, he's doing what I do in terms of what I eat. So I predominantly carnivore, which now is about 80-20 protein, so just steak, meat. Yeah. Innards, liver.
Is that what you eat? So you're brain. Like the liver king?
Yeah. Or sort of.
The legit liver king.
Yeah, the real one. Yeah,
legit
one.
Yeah.
Real one, exactly. Yeah, that's freaking fraud.
And now, our boy Isaiah, he does the same. He refuses to eat greens, but all he wants is steak, sausages. It's like, yes, that's my boy.
Yes.
Big and strong.
Can I ask, when you said you started your first game and you were playing with the legends like Michellle and stuff, can you tell, because Michelle's, and this is one I remembered, but there was a couple others you mentioned. Can you talk to us about what you learnt from those guys? Because going into a legendary clubs, and someone, Brett Michelle's been an Australian coach and absolute legend of the game. What did you learn? Like what were they doing? What made him different? What did you see that made him stand out, made him a legend, that you sort of learnt and went, okay, this is what I've got to do?
Well, I guess at the time they were parents, so they had young kids. Andrew Ryan, Luke Patton, Brett Michellle, right. They all had young kids, and they showcase what it takes to become a great father. So yes, we were athletes in that environment, but at the time it was person first, like become a great person, create that strong character, and then athlete later. And all that translated on the field. Like all that success came afterwards of being that great character, great father, and good mentors to us kids. And they probably weren't aware of it. But me, I was hanging around. So I was a reception at the time for the Bulldogs. So when I'll finish my traineeship at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, answering the phone. It's like, oh, hi, this is Martin Taupau. How may I help you? When I'm done there, I'll go in and I'll train in and around the boys, and they probably didn't realise, but they were helped massively in terms of my personal development coming through as a young man. And then there were a different sort of dynamics as well of the other players that were going through. They were probably 3-4 years older than me, but they were at the top of their game, but still unsure of how to go about, being in the face of public, under the microscope constantly. Social media was slowly coming into that, but with those older players there, that helped
bridge the gap for the boys,
with those players and becoming great athletes, great people.
Was it a successful time at Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs when you entered the club? Were they a successful team and you went on a successful run? And excuse the ignorance,
It certainly was. So we were both brought up in the Canterbury district.
Oh, wow.
So we're Bulldogs through and through.
Yeah.
And
that's mad.
It's awesome. At the Bulldogs, they got this quote, and I remember it vividly, is that it's not the four walls that surround the people, it's the people that surround the four walls. And with that, they were a great family club. And I believe that they were so successful. It's freaking awesome. And I love looking back.
That's a great quote. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that I guess apprenticeship sounds like has set you on your way type thing.
Yeah. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's funny. The one thing I always laugh about is that when I did that for, I believe it was about 2 years, you got this big brown Samoan Kiwi boy sitting behind the desk, answering phones, running errands. And then when I got to the field, it's like...
Killer.
Yeah.
Killer. White line killer.
But what a great lesson that is.
Because you're known to be aggressive in the research and stuff. Like, you're known to be quite aggressive.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Weapons, mate.
Yeah. But which is bizarre because we get to see your nature here now, and you're like the softest nature that you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
But you just what? Can you explain to us what happens when you cross the line? What is it? I think of Alexander Volkanovski. Have you ever seen him? Like I think of him. I think he's like that. He's just like a nice, underassuming dude. But for some reason, on fight night, when he's walking to the cage, he just turns into this fucking killer.
Yeah.
Die. So is it what? How does that happen? Is it natural? Is it learnt? Is it conscious? Is it subconscious?
I guess it depends on the individual, on the lessons or the journey that they've been through. And I guess with my journey, there are times that I do reflect on something that I can harness and that will help empower me, whether it be my wife and kids, whether there was something tragic that had happened that week and leading into a game, harness into that, or a struggle. For me, it's always fight or flight. And when it comes to like some of our conflicts or conversations, whether it be work or family, I tend to flight. I run.
Like the opposite.
Yeah.
So funny.
But yeah, for me, it's always when I cross that white line, it's fight or flight. And 10 out of 10, you have to fight because there's other teammates there around you to help you get the job done. But at the end of the day, if you don't pick up your shit, mate, everyone's dead.
You're stitching them all up.
So for me, you just have to be, fully focused, just harness every bit of energy, every ounce.
Are you latching on to like unreasonable shit? Like, have you seen the Jordan documentary where he's like, where he's just cooking stuff up in his brain? Yeah, it's not even real.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a same sort of.
He does that every day.
Yeah, that's wild. That's crazy because you do have to get yourself there, otherwise you're not there, right?
I probably shouldn't say it, but there are times where whether we're sitting at a coffee shop and we're just having a nice time, just looking out the Brisbane River, and it could be 5-10 minutes in of silence, and then I'll be like, honey, I just had this thought. And she's like, what? Okay, tell me the story. And I replayed this whole story. It's like, okay, so someone had come in, someone had just tipped coffee all over you, and I just had to slap the shit out of them, or just had a massive argument, but nothing happened. It's just all happened in my head.
Cooking it.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So that's not a bad segue into, you got the 4 kids, the 2 dogs. I'm similar. I'm
1
kids,
cat. What's the
2
cat's
dogs.
name?
I just haven't got the cat.
Coco.
I'm a cat guy. I'm running 3 cats.
So it's a busy household. You know what I mean? I understand that, and you guys are busy people, entrepreneurial, starting businesses, heavy schedule, lead athlete. How are you guys keeping everyone on the straight and narrow inside the household? Supporting each other, feeding each other,
and how do you all move around
to
in
each
a
other?
bus?
Well, I guess it's the kids. We were a blended family, so Marty had 2, I had 2. We've all come together. Our house is pretty quiet up here.
Yeah.
It's Marty and I and the 2 dogs.
Yes.
The little ones are with their mum in Sydney, and the older ones are in Sydney as well. So when we're all together, it's full on. We had them recently for over a week, all up together. and it's so much fun and so much nice. He loves it way more than me. I've become quite accustomed to silence. But we have so much fun. There's never any difficulty. All the kids get on really well together. There's different age gap, like a bigger age gap.
What ages are we running?
So early 20s and then
Oh, that's
14,
right, because you had it. Yeah. That's right.
And then 14 and 10.
I'm
and
running
they
14
all just get
and 10.
on so beautiful. So it's really good. We don't like. There's never really any arguing in our place. It's quite could be chaotic but peaceful.
Yeah, sounds like the opposite to my place.
Chaotic at the dinner table. So we've got this one rule, right? So you're not allowed to swear. And this potty mouth here, she's worse than anyone that I know.
If you want to swear, you have to be the bill payer.
I'm going to use that.
But when we're at the dinner table, that's the safest place in the house. So that's the only place you're allowed to swear any profanities.
In context.
In context. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So when there is a bit of bickering happening at the table, you see a couple of birds getting thrown up, the F-bombs get thrown up. Like, what the hell?
No, not at each other though.
It's the same
Yeah,
space.
I get what you're saying though. If it's in context,
Yeah.
you stub your toe and go, fuck.
Yeah, you're
Cool,
allowed.
cool.
Yeah.
But you can't be going, fuck you.
No.
You
And
know
the
what I
young
mean?
ones,
I'm running the similar rules. around my door.
they save their swear words. It's like, oh, you said one. Okay, I'm going to save that for another day.
Now, hey, guys, can I ask Marty and Michelle, because I know you were sort of by Marty's side, but there was, in the research, there was big there's some racism scandals, or not, I don't even know what you call them, but I'll tell you what, from me, hate really talking about racism because it just pisses me off, to be honest, you know what I mean? And we're not that kind of pod, we're not out, trying to run any thingo. But reading the research, it actually just pisses me off how stupid people can be. Or I was reading I was looking and someone sent you was it a DM or a
DM,
yeah, a DM message, and I was reading in the research, it was sort of saying that at first it sort of washed off you, maybe because you were conditioned or you had to read it a few times, and it wasn't until you read it to Michelle when Michelle went, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I read it once. It's actually pissing me off. Mike, can you see the thing?
It's goosebumps, yeah.
Like, it's actually fucking pissing me off, man. I only had to read half of what it said to realise, like, you know what I mean? How do you deal with that, man? And, like, a lifetime of, just even, like, I'm kind of contributing to what I'm saying now, just having to even talk about it as a subject.
No, it's good to talk about.
Yeah, it is good to talk about it, but it's almost, like, annoying because we shouldn't have to. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's. I find it is hard. I believe I'm pretty thick-skinned in this game. I've been in this game for a very long time, and I've copped a lot of criticism. But when it came to that in particular
specific,
comment, it was like, okay, didn't really hit me. Sort of sat around for a bit, shared it to Michellle, and she sort of lost her shit. And I was like, yeah, if I don't say anything or if I don't act on this, that person's going to think it's the
you're a
norm.
fucking legend too, because most people don't. Do you know what I mean? And you put yourself out there, and then you're essentially asking for more, right?
Yep.
But yeah, you did, didn't you? And then there was another fella as well. I can't remember his name. There was another fella that came out. Not that specific incident. That was sort of, you guys were what was it like? Standing up and being prepared to report racism, right?
Yep.
You're not going to say, if you're going to send me this shit, just know that we're gonna put it out there.
And I still can't believe it happens to this day.
Oh, it's mind blowing.
Like, just I remember back in it was a couple of years ago, and this is ironically it was on Australia Day, and we had just gotten our puppy, and all the kids went down. Funny enough, this is at Botany Bay, and we're just having a nice stroll. And then it was another dog sort of interacting, and it got a little bit chirpy to ours. And I was like, "Oh, can you just please get your dog away?" And then the owner had come up and goes, "Can you fucking remove your dog?" And it's sort of back and forth. And it's like, "Whoa, no, just relax. Like, what the fuck is going on?" And she goes, "Go back to where you fucking came from." And I'm like, "Honey, what the fuck?" And then I looked at her and I was like, I was going to say something. Well, I told her to fuck off. But what I wanted to say, I was like, this is Australia. Like, this isn't your backyard. You probably came on a boat from somewhere else, but I'm not going to say that. But why on All Days, Australia Day in Botany
yeah.
Bay, and you saying that sort of shit to us, and that I will never forget that, and that hurts because that happened in front of my whole family.
Man. And what generation would you say this person was? Was she older generation?
40.
Yeah,
Oh, that's even
she's
worse.
that's not old.
So that's even fucking worse.
Yeah. There were so many things I wanted to do, but what's the point of reacting and showing, you know, whether it's throwing sand or doing something, hurting someone when you've got your kids and your family? That's not setting a great
And reacting's kind of what they want as well, right? When they say it,
Yep.
they're saying it to try and draw out a reaction.
Yeah.
But Marty, what do you think? Is there anything that they can, like, it's such a big topic in it. It's been going on for years. You remember Adam Goods in the AFL, you know, he's like walked away from the AFL, like, because he's that you know, upset with it all. But do you think they do enough, or is it, you know what I mean? Like, are they still doing, or is it just sort of surface level and they...
Look, I don't believe so. I believe in many cases, in no matter what industry or organization that you work for, it just depends on the case and I guess it's the people that you know, right?
Yeah.
But for the people that get, you know, pointed out and all these racial slurs getting thrown at them, I would say the best thing for you to do is surround yourself with great people that make you feel safe.
Yeah, that lift you up.
Yep. And with that, it will help you sort of get all that off your shoulder, all that pressure, all that hate off your shoulder, and express it to that safe group. You're safe. My safe person is my wife. And we speak about so many different things. And the great thing is when you share it with people in a safe space, they come from different perspectives. Like I've said, they come from different journeys. They've experienced different things that you haven't experienced. So you get so many different perspectives and comments where it sort of eases the pain. And then for whatever individual, it'll help you share that message or empower the next generation.
So don't internalize it and sort of...
No,
Yeah.
because I'm one of them. I internalize a lot of things.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, especially,
My wife, like I said, she's my safe person. She's the one that I vomit everything to her.
Sounds like a thoughts fit in the cafe. Michelle, what are your thoughts on it? You've worked in the game a lot, and obviously you took nearly more offence, a quicker offence to to that message.
And you were vocal about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were vocal about it publicly as well. Yeah, absolutely.
I have a problem with that. I was working at the time as the community relations manager for the NRL.
Oh, you're kidding.
So I also knew there was a lot of other racism issues going on, direct messaging, tweets. There was a lot that was happening in the game at the time. And
Just in the underbelly of the fans and stuff.
Yep. I'd witnessed it at games. I had heard it so many times. The NRL, they do what they can with the evidence that they've got, but there's a lot of stuff that goes unnoticed. So for me at that point in time, it was like, we have the relationships with the right people. We're strong enough in ourselves. Like, if we're not going to stand up,
who is?
We kept thinking about, when Marty was talking about before, who are you serving? Like, who are you there for? We have always said that we didn't want anybody to go through what Marty had, some of the lessons and challenges that he'd had going through when he was younger. So how do we stand up and show them that it's okay to speak, and that if you can't speak up, that somebody's going to be able to do that with you or for you? I guess it's a huge part of the drive behind our business with Disruptors. We have chosen the proactive approach. So rather than focusing on the negatives and talking about, how racism is bad and, don't be a pig and educate yourself.
Be better. Yeah.
We're focused on sharing the story. So Dr. David Lakisa, he has a PhD in Pacifica engagement. Dean Witters, he's an NRL legend.
Yes.
So they're part of our team. So we are now on a mission to really share culture, share wisdom, share knowledge, share experiences, talk to people in a way where they can relate, it's like what you guys do, share an extraordinary story, build a connection between people, offer the opportunity to see something from a different perspective, engage with an Aboriginal person or a Samoan person or a Tongan person on a different level, have a different relationship with them where you're not buying into
the bullshit,
the stereotypes, the bullshit, the narrative that's out there. So it's really at the core of what we're trying to do with DSRUPTRS. So that's the way we've kind of taken the experiences and flipped it now and giving people an opportunity to engage.
Yeah, spot
And
on.
you've been working with the best in the businth too.
Yeah.
Shout out Dane Walker.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is, isn't he? Like, he's a genius. Like, he
Yeah.
helped us figure out our North Star, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
100%. And going back to what Marty said about, I guess, you know, and you guys being probably the smarter, you know, looking at it through a better lens, but understanding that some people only know what they know. So it's about having the conversations and educating people that, hey, this is what this is about, you know what that's about.
Yeah.
When you're coming to an interaction with not much information and quite sort of naive and ignorant, that's sort of where a lot of this stuff comes. So this sort of stuff sounds amazing to start the conversation.
Yeah. We're loving it.
How was so talk to us about the business side of things. You went to Dane to set up the brand, obviously, and go on that journey.
Yep.
He takes you on
Dane
a bit of a
does.
scary journey, doesn't he? He starts like asking
Doesn't
all
ask-
weird questions
Asking
and
you
shit.
what kind of drink you are, what
I
kind of
know.
car are you.
Did you do that? Yeah.
Shoes.
I love that.
Song,
If
what's
you
the
were a
big
pair of
song?
shoes, which pair of shoes would you be? Yeah.
Yeah, I was Louboutin.
It's really challenging, but it gets you there, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It takes you on a journey
It
and you
really
end up
did.
somewhere.
And it was really weird because we had started, so originally the business was called The DSRUPTRS, like spelt 2 words properly. Now we've taken out,
DSRUPTRS?
like little fish.
Yeah,
taken
yeah,
out
I
of
saw- I
the
noticed.
house,
Yeah, I love
except
it.
the U, and that was intentional that one got left in. But we were originally going down the path where we were going to be delivering mentoring programs. We were consulting. That's always been something we've been doing. But, you know, after COVID and a few social issues that were happening, we kind of looked around at the people we were surrounded by and realised how many incredible people are in our sphere. And halfway through, so we'd gone through all of that with Dane and the team, and halfway through we just pivoted hard. And it was like we had like a brain snap where
And
everything
clarity.
just became clear, really, really clear. And it wasn't before. And so I went, okay, guys, so we're not doing that anymore. And then had to go down the journey of really articulating what the evolution of DSRUPTRS was going to be. And we got there. What started out as an 18-week journey in the agreement ended up being over 12 months.
Oh, fuck. We were the same. We were over 12 months as well.
Yeah.
And you know what I would say? We could not have got the result any quicker.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I think what it was, the reason we get the result is because it's an organic process. If Dane's team's in there forcing
They're
you
just bashing it out.
Yeah, they're bashing it out of you, then it's not authentic. Do you know what I mean? They don't bash it out of you. They slowly just peck at you.
Yep.
And then
They book in a 3-hour session. It's like, what?
do you know what I mean? Yeah,
You
it's
gotta
such
go
a
there,
Yeah.
yeah.
We feel that, I guess that's sort of part of the coaching nature, and that's what they do really, really well.
Yeah.
Is they coach you, they ask the tough questions.
Yeah, they don't tell you. Yeah.
No, yeah. And we had to figure out who we were, and it took us a while to get there. And it felt frustrating at moments. It was like, oh my God, I just want the branding. I just want the website.
What's it matter what drink I am?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever.
Yeah. But it was a journey and such a valuable one. And their team was
It's probably one of the best decisions that Little Fish has ever made. I would say we've made some. There's been some.
hardest as well.
One of the hardest decisions because it's not cheap.
No.
Like because these guys put a lot of time and resource in.
our
Do you know what I mean?
accountant nearly died.
Yeah, fucking. And so did ours. So did I.
What, are you paying that for a logo? What's going on?
So did I, man. I'm trying to tell PK. It's not just a logo,
Yeah.
trust me.
Yeah.
I wasn't even sure if it was just a logo or not, but I was running with it, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of uncertainty, and we definitely didn't have the money. Like the bank put that, so we took the risk. But yeah, it's definitely easily the best thing that we've ever done. One of the best things that we've done in our business for sure, which you guys know.
Yeah.
Because what it does, it gives you clarity. And you need clarity in business, man, because if you're trying to do everything, you end up doing nothing.
Well, I just think you need clarity in life. It
Yeah,
goes
true.
back to, and I'm actually just going to protect my reputation here. When Marty said that I'm the person that taught him how to say no to everyone he's ever said no to, that's not. I didn't say no to them. It was.
Text would be going.
It's all her.
No, it was more about setting that vision for what we wanted in life and how our you know, how we were going to best serve our family, our community. You know, we're like you guys, we have causes close to our heart. We support a charity. How do we do all of that but keep growing as people, making sure that it's like that oxygen, put the oxygen mask on yourself first, and then you can help other people. If you just start giving out and meeting everybody else's wants at the time that they think they want it, we're going to end up with nothing left to
Drained.
give.
Yeah,
and
got
so,
nothing.
like, let's put our oxygen mask on first. Let's figure out then how does that align with our vision and our values and where we're going. So same deal. I think vision and clarity is super important in business and as individuals.
I think that's a really interesting one, because being people that probably people do try and reach out and get your time and get your attention, you know, what advice would you give to people that, you know, I guess, you know, they are trying to get pulled and pushed in different directions? And like you said, you touched on it then, being able to say no, but
how do you know what to say no to? Because I guess when you're coming up, you want to say yes because you don't want to miss out. You know, FOMO. So what is there a strategy, or
the
it's just
shortest answer that I could give that's probably the most succinct in my opinion is to get really clear on your values. As a person, because your values and your non-negotiables.
And then exactly, if you stick to those as your North Star, then it'll help you make the right decision, because you can bypass your values out of desperation or out of vulnerability or whatever, because you need something. So that's great advice.
The Bulldogs, back to Marty's Bulldogs days, they had a mindset coach, John Novak, and he worked with lots of professional athletes and golfers and swimmers. And John used to have this one saying that was like help or hinder. So that was the short answer. Is it going to help or hinder me? And so going through that quick process from everything, am I going to eat this cupcake or this bit of cheese?
Help or hinder? Fuck it. I mean, anyway.
So figuring out where your values are, and then if it's not going to do any damage, then cool. And you want to say, yep, have a go. Like, keep yourself open. But if it's actually going to set you back, then that's your clear no.
What about you, Marty? What did you learn when you were the youngster on your own and you had all those? Is there any lesson that you learned when you had all of a sudden you were famous or you had all these people reaching? It felt like they were reaching in, asking for things, and you didn't know who was really there authentically for you and who wanted things. Was there something in hindsight now that you learned that you could tell other people, or anyone listen?
Well, at the start, when I sort of burst onto the scene, I think it was in 2014, I said yes to everything. It's like, oh, no shit, I'm happy to go here.
The Met, I'm in, what time?
Whatever you need, dinner, gala, whatever function, sure, I'm there. But then I had quickly realised that the most important thing is your time. And I was like, okay, well, if I go to this and I spend 5 or 6 hours socializing with people after 8 o'clock and you got work the next morning, what is it really going to cost you?
Right.
And then I had started to, and that's the time when I started to mature as an athlete, and also with me being a parent. And it was like, okay, so what do I actually want and what do I actually need? And it's time to myself. Time was everything that you can't get back once you spent it. And then I had realized that, in this world, it's a scary world and there's a lot of sharks around and they're all swimming around like they're, nice little dolphins and stuff. The minute they latch on, they'll eat you up. And we had realized that, that there are a lot of people out there, and it was really hard for me because being in the public eye, having confrontational conversations, whether it's sponsors or potential sponsors or people that want to do business with you, I found it really hard to have those sort of conversations because it can go 0 to 100 real quick, and then people, those people that you have conversations or you turn away, come back and bite you on the ass, and it's like, how do I have these conversations?
So how do you have them without sort of causing issues or big boy conversations?
The big boy conversation was thanks to my wife and because she coaches me.
I'm the same. Like Pete does all the tough conversations in our business because I'm the same, man. Like I struggle to have a tough conversation.
What she taught me is to.
Well, they're not tough. and they're not. It's not. Perfect, it's just
I find it tough. I find it tough.
necessary
That's not bad.
conversation.
Necessary, yeah.
And so when you change the mindset, like
That is
Marty's
true.
going in, going, oh, I've got to have a confrontation now. Well, he'll arm himself up for a confrontation. But when it's like you have to have a necessary conversation, there's a breakdown in communication, or we're on a different page.
And you just stay dialed in on
just getting it back. So I think the underlying neuro-linguistics of it all is the way you're going
Let's
into
go.
it.
You NLPers.
She's my NLP
He's
boss.
actually about to start studying
You
it.
should, man. I'd read in the notes that you're a bit of you like education, right? You
I like it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I like learning shit as well. So I did got into NLP many years ago. But it's fascinating, man.
Dane NLP'd me.
Oh,
times
we
in a
actually
session.
met. Was she?
Oh,
Katie
McDonald.
Katie McDonald. So Dane hooked us up with his NLP coach,
Right.
who we had on, who was a hoot. She came down
She was
from
banging on about goddesses and shit.
yeah. So she was a former
right?
she was a former stripper, drug addict.
Reformed, yes.
Drug addict, and then she studied. She picked herself up off the campus. Crazy story, insane lady, like awesome lady. Yeah, but NLP was her
NLP,
thing,
yeah.
and she became an NLP coach, launched her business, and it's called something Goddesses. But she is off the
Right,
charts.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
she's
it's crazy. It's
crazy,
pretty
but
cool.
in a good way. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Now, guys, can I hijack this for a second, PK?
Okay.
Something we did at the property expo yesterday, right? You alluded to at the start. I'm going to jump out. I've got someone that wants to come and ask Martin a couple of football questions.
Yeah,
Is that all right, Marty?
Yeah.
Yep.
Legends. Let's do it.
All right, awesome. So we've got Angelo here. Ran into him at Queensland, Brisbane even, Property Expo. Mad fans. We started research. He started going, he's this, he's that, he's blah, blah, blah. So it was a bit of a buzz. And they've come to the Airbnb to meet us. He's got two up-and-coming rugby superstars by the look of the vision. They look pretty sharp to me. So, Rap to have you guys on, man.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us on. Absolute pleasure, and what a sequence of events.
Property Expo, eh? Who would have thought? So have we got any questions for the great Marty?
Yeah, look, I think one of the questions I had, right, was, as you know, the grand final loss last year. Psychologically, what impact do you reckon that sort of had on the playing group this year? Did they sort of, because obviously the performance has been a bit up and down this season. Has that sort of psychologically, has the team bounced back from that, or?
Yeah, look, losing the grand final and literally having one hand on the trophy, it was difficult. It was difficult for everyone. And not only for the Brisbane Broncos, but also for Brisbane itself. It was the hype around it all was absolutely phenomenal. But for that to slip away, it was really, really hard for everyone, and especially for the players that had played. I didn't play in the grand final, so I was unfortunate to miss out in the selection. But being there on the sideline and experiencing the emotions of the highs to the absolute lows, because going in that game, we were up. It's like, finish the game now. We're done. We've won it.
Yeah.
And I believe it was those last couple of minutes, they just came away and they snatched it away from us. And for some of these boys, and they're really, really young in the game, it was hard for them to fathom what had happened. Obviously, in the 24 hours, it was really hard. But with that finishing post-season, coming into the pre-season training in preparation for this year, it was really hard for them. You could see it, you could feel it, and you could... Everything was happening. But I think it's a great learning lesson for them, for the old, the young, the coaching staff, the whole organisation, learning from that. And, I believe that we've all had some great successes, and for that being snatched away. And there's always a reason for those particular reasons. And for that, I believe it's hard. It would be great for us to win that grand final, but I believe there's a bigger reason for that. And with the Brisbane Broncos, they've got some great talent coming through, and it'll be a great development, thing for them in coming through and reflecting back. This is how we could have won the game. But if you work on X, Y, Z, we will be back there whether it be this year, next year, or in the next couple of years. So, yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, great work, Marty. I think pulling the lesson out of it's probably, you know, I guess, you know, the gold. It sounds like obviously you're one of the older players. Did you play a bit of a role supporting the crew, you know, after that?
Yeah, I did. I believe I felt like I was just playing a dad role.
Yeah.
It wasn't me just going out and barking orders, you know, do this, do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. It was just more just getting a vibe, getting a feel of how certain players sort of go about their business, their training, their work life. And it's just having general conversations. And some of them don't really open up, some of them do. And with that, I get a better gauge on how to better communicate to them, whether it's some of them hate public humiliation. And I'm the same. If you get told, you whatever you did this in training, in a video session in front of everyone, that was terrible. For some players, for me, if that happens to me, I go into my shell. It's like, no, that's not the best way to get through to me. And they're the sort of things that I really gauged and learned throughout last year, and I believe that really helped me get the better of them. And I think it helped get the better of a lot of those players, and also with helping the coaching staff communicate to those players, because communication is everything. Without communication, whether it's hand signals or verbally, there's no direction.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing.
So with, I mean, obviously being one of the senior players, I mean, you've been around, you're quite experienced, Marty. What sort of role do you play with the junior players in the group at the moment?
He told me before he won the game from Friday night.
Well,
the cavalry, mate.
The cavalry.
No, I'm
Hey,
saying.
at 16-0 down, you changed the game when you came on. The aggression.
That's what he
came
told
in.
me. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it did.
Well, look, it was hard watching it. Yeah, we were down 16-0. And I always say to the boys that come off the bench, it's like, we are the difference. Let's go out there and make a difference. And we did that. Well, we came back and we won it. Well, every single player that came off the bench, we made a difference. And it's funny enough, like after the game, we said to a couple of players, it's like, oh shit, you know, we were down, we were struggling. It's like, don't worry, boys, the cavalry's here. The cavalry's here. Mate, like I just went in with confidence. I remember I was saying to my wife before, she asked me, it's like, what was sort of my mindset going into the weekend? I said, oh, well, I kind of got nothing to lose. I'm going in with nothing to lose, but I've got everything to lose. And it was that, you know, excuse my French, no fucks given. Just go in, go hard, and, you know, it's in the world of rugby league, it's all about your brotherhood and stuff. But for me, it's a job, and I have to nail my job week in, week out. Yep. And then once the final whistle's done, that's it. I come home, happy and sound, spend it with my family.
Yeah, no, because it was definitely a noticeable difference, that game. 16-0, I was watching it. I was close to turning it off. And then I'm like, no, I'll watch it. There's always hope, right?
You knew Marty was coming on.
Yeah.
Know what I'm saying? You don't turn the TV off unless Marty's out.
No, but fair dinkum, when you came on, because the first 15 it was just a blowout, right? Like it just, Parramatta were just running rampant. And then, you took a few solid runs and it seemed like the team picked up with the aggression. Tony Staggs brought the aggression. So, yeah, I think, like you said before, was that, as you mentioned before, you find something to motivate you. And was the fact you were sort of 16-0 down, it was just, I've got nothing to lose, I'm going to use this and just go hard?
Well, as a senior player, and you see, like, these are young men. They're great rugby league, talented rugby league players. I just see them as, they're my kids. And that's with no disrespect. I say, because they're very young at heart and at mind. But I see them when they're down in the dumps and you've got the opposition bashing them left, right, centre. It's like, okay, well, stuff it. It's my turn to hurt you now.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I did. And it's sort of just coming in steadied. You know, when you're just full of rage, but you just don't want an ounce dripping out of you, you just internalize it. And then when it's your turn, it's like, okay, good luck to you. That was my
point and shoot.
It's just going in and just, stuff it. Like, okay, brothers, I've got you guys. And it's not just going ham, everything just hanging out. It's it's slow.
Channeled man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like slow and steady. You know, slow and smooth. Smooth is fast.
That's one of our favourites on the pod, man. That's
But
one
I'm
of our
not
favourites.
fast.
Nah, but that's so. I mean, obviously, 2 points out of the 8 now, right? 2 games in hand. I saw Kevy in the press conference. He seemed quite confident. He's like, "We will make the 8," right? What's the vibe like in the playing group? Like confident to make the 8 and give it a good shake.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of confidence going in after that win. It's a local derby now for us, but you know, I don't want to be a damperer on all this sort of confidence. It's just, okay, what's the next role? What's your next job? And confidence comes out of you executing those small steps, you know, those small needle moving jobs. Because when you take a step back and you look at it, you've made these huge jumps at training, at work, at home, whatever it may be. And then when it comes to D-Day, you're ready to rumble. And that's where my confidence comes from.
Yeah.
And that's where
finals may be a result
Yep.
of all these increments that you're talking about.
Yeah. And that's what we do in life, in business, in everything. It's all the small needle moving things.
Yeah.
Because obviously everything compounds, and then when you take a step back, it's like, oh wow, like we've actually achieved this. Like we've never thought that we'd start 2 businesses. Yeah. One in COVID, and one was on the drive home. That's crazy.
No, good on you.
Awesome.
Boys?
We've got the lads here. Have they got any questions? There's been a few lessons throughout the pod that the boys were welcome to. Hopefully they closed their ears for some of the language.
You should hear the profanity at home.
No, that's all right. Fine then. But there's been some good lessons, especially early lessons that Marty let them know. But have they got any questions, Ange?
What was your favourite team when you were a kid?
My favourite team? Oh, look, I guess my favourite team was always the team that I was playing for. So at the time, it was Canterbury Bulldogs.
What about you, Nick?
I don't know.
Frozen. Did you want to ask what was the question? Who he played for when he was younger?
Yeah.
What club? That was one
Yeah,
of the...
what club did you play for?
Okay, so I played for 3 previous clubs. So I played for the Canterbury Bulldogs, which I mentioned earlier.
I think they're talking pre-junior years.
Oh,
yeah.
I play for the Greenacre Tigers. So it's a small local team in Sydney.
Yeah, rough comp.
Yep. Toughened me up, didn't it?
That's a rough comp.
Amazing. Marty, would you you've dropped heaps of advice throughout the pod, but is there anything you'd leave the boys with? Like they're both playing, they look like they're playing really well. Is there any advice you'd give them to maybe if they were lucky enough to forge half as good a career as you?
Well, yeah, I would say advice to the boys, but especially to Dad, and to remind him at this age is to have fun. You can tell him to catch the ball properly, kick the ball, however particular way it is. But at the end of the day, you got to have fun first, and that's the one thing I've learned later in my career is you got to have fun, because if you go in and do whatever particular activity without fun, it's a chore. And, with kids, a chore isn't going to be enjoyable. They're not going to do it.
Not going to keep doing it.
It won't end well. Nah, that's awesome.
Amazing advice. You flip that over to Dad. I love that.
Yep. Dad's got to. You've just got to enjoy it, boys.
That's it. Have fun.
Awesome.
Be safe. Listen to your parents.
Yeah.
And
Listen.
Yep.
Michelle, what advice would you give? Obviously, you've been in rugby league a long time. You seem to guide the big fella here pretty well. What advice would you give for people listening, the young boys, trying to forge a career and trying to make a prolonged impact in a certain area of their life?
Wow. It's a big question.
I've put you on the spot, haven't I?
It's a big question.
I reckon you're up to it, though.
Yeah. I think know who you are, figure out who you are and where you want to go, and back yourself 100%. Set the bar high, set it higher than you think you'll get, and just go for it. So even with these boys, we say it to our little one, he thinks he's going to be an NRL player, and we encourage him to think that.
Yeah.
But we talk about all the time that, you make that aspiration and you've got to put in the work. You've got to do the needle moving stuff. You've got to eat well. You've got to sleep. You've got to get lots of sleep. You've got to drink lots of water. You've got to listen to your parents and your coach, and just go out there and whatever it is, whoever you are, at whatever stage in your journey, set the dream, put in the work, and be relentless about it.
Amazing. There you go.
That's great advice from the both of you. Yeah,
Bloody nailed it. Straight off. No preparation or anything. And amazing advice. And surround yourself with good people who believe in you. That's what I'm looking at here.
Right.
Great stuff. Cheers,
Beautiful.
guys.
Guys, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for
Really
having us.
appreciate the lessons and the story, and wish you guys all the best with your businesses. Finish the career up well at some point, whenever it happens, and teach the young men. But yeah, really appreciate it, guys. All the best.
Thank you. We're bolted on fans of the podcast. We love the guests. We love the lessons that we've been getting out of it and for business. So thank you to you and the team.
Awesome. Well, there was heaps in that today, so love it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us.
Please, guys, anyone that's going to get value out of that, like, share, subscribe, and see you at the top.
People want to be part of a winning team. People can find a better version of themselves if they choose.
You just need to go start some shit.
Action is all that matters.
Be a man of your word.
I think I look back now and I'm like, whoa, that took some guts.
Be kind, be kind, be kind.
See you at the top. New episode every Wednesday.